How we doing, everybody? And welcome into Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. I'm your host, Trage. We're coming back. It's Friday. I know it's late. We're sorry. I had a vaccine talk tonight. All right, I had a vaccine talk tonight. And okay, we got some great news tonight. I got two things of great news. Most of you guys out there haven't heard number one, which is the greatest news. My wife and I are expecting our first child. So there you go. Greatest news right there. That's the greatest news. Aaron already knew it, so he's acting surprised over there, but he already knew about it. And then so we went to a vaccine talk tonight, basically about what do's and don'ts of giving vaccines to kids and everything like that. But that's why we're a little late. Second great news that I told you guys coming back here. I said Friday I'd have some exciting news for you guys. The show will be broadcasted on 92.3 WOSQ coming soon. February 12th is the start date for that one. We'll be on 92.3 WOSQ. So that's great news there. The show will be on the radio. It's going to be awesome. Just got done talking with some of the radio guys today there, and we're all excited. We're all really excited to get this thing off the ground there. Start out small, one day a week, work our way up after that, see what happens there. But hey, we got lots to get into tonight. That's enough about that. Lots to get into tonight here. Aaron, how we doing tonight? Aaron is with me tonight here, co-host the show. Aaron, how we doing?
Yeah, I can't complain, man. You got a lot going on in your neck of the woods with that, but once again, congratulations for sure. That's big life stuff, right? But yeah, we're starting to warm up a little bit over here. Not as frigid. I hope you guys aren't as like iced.
We're just
completely frozen. You're kind of thawing out, but yeah, not doing bad. NFL championship weekend. So exciting time of the year, exciting weekend as always. So
it is frigid cold all the time. Today, I thought it was supposed to be like a high of 20 today. No. It was negative 14 when I woke up this morning, 6 o'clock, to head off to work. It was absolutely terrible. So that's how the day started. It was just one of those days. Got some, went to work, got some stuff done. Had the vaccine talk, met with radio guys, had the vaccine talk. It was great. It was all good. All good there. Had some sushi from Quit Trip. Love Quit Trip. So don't think this is a diss when I say this. I got some sushi at Quit Trip, okay? And I know what people are thinking, right? Why do you get gas station sushi? I'm fine with it. Like, I don't hate gas station sushi. I love Quit Trip. I love their sushi that they have there. The only problem is this one I feel like just came off the truck because it is rock solid. I was sitting here and Aaron and I were talking before the show here. We're kind of getting everything situated and figured out. And I went to go bite into one. I'm like, this is hard as a rock. Like, I can't do this. Like, are you kidding me right now? So sushi's off to the side. I'm thinking about I got to get a little microwave or heater down here or something to warm them babies up. But right now, a little too solid to eat there. But Aaron, we got lots to get into tonight here. So let's get on with it. This is the greatest thing that could have happened to the Packers-Bears rivalry. This is the greatest thing. Ben Johnson, recently hired, and I thought it was a great hire for the Bears. He's a great offensive mind to bring into that system. Try to help out Caleb Williams right now. Ben Johnson gave us the most bizarre, I don't even know what to make of the comments that he made. So they asked him about, they're just talking to him, asking about some of the questions, talking to him about the NFC North and everything like that. He said he wanted to stay in the division because of how good the division was, the NFC North. And he said, Dan Campbell and Kevin O'Connell, those are great coaches there. He said they're great coaches. And one of them's going to be up for player of the year or coach of the year. The other one could be right up there with him and Kevin O'Connell. And then he came to Matt LaFleur. And he goes, and to be quite frank with you, I kind of enjoyed beating Matt LaFleur twice a year. Now, Aaron, I gotta be honest with you. So when I hear that, it's like, okay, right? You're trying to be that Bears guy, right? You're trying to meet the fans' quota at that point. And I get that, right? You wanna get the fans all riled up. Oh yeah, Ben Johnson's coming. He's gonna be the savior to come down here and fix us, just like Eberflus and just like Caleb Williams and just like everybody before that, right? But this is the odd part. This is the odd part for me. Matt LaFleur and Ben Johnson aren't friends. They don't know each other. They know of each other. They're not friends. They weren't coworkers. They didn't work together back in the day. Nothing. You cross-reference these guys. Their paths have never crossed. And yet, this felt like a comment, and I don't know if it's just me, but this felt like a comment like, Aaron, you're gonna go coach the or no, let's just go, Aaron, you're gonna go coach the Eagles, and I'm gonna go up there and coach the Packers there. I'm gonna be one of the assistant coaches, right? And you're like, I can't wait to beat Trajan up. I can't wait to beat Trage, right? Can't wait to beat him up there. Like, we talked here. We're good friends. Like, we're good, right? Makes sense. They're not friends. Low blow beneath the belt, disrespect, tell him how it is. And if this doesn't irk Matt LaFleur, if this doesn't just piss him off, because to me, this would just tick me off. This would get me riled up. Like, let's go. You want to play? Let's play. All right, boys. I don't care if we lose all the games but 2 next year. I want to beat the Bears twice. I said that right when I heard that comment. I was like, I looked at my coworker. We're sitting in the van listening to Bill Michaels. I looked at my coworker. I was like, I don't care if the Packers win all, but they win 2 games next year. I don't care. If it's against the Bears, that's all that matters to me. Just because of that. Just because of this silly, I don't even understand the comment, honestly. Like it was like a friendly, like you're trying to make a friendly joke. I don't know if you're trying to make a friendly joke. Like this was a joke that if Ben Johnson would have, or if you would have made it at like Dan Campbell, okay, I get it. If Aaron Glenn would have stayed in the division and he said, "Oh, I can't wait to beat Aaron Glenn," sure, right, that makes sense. But to say essentially that Dan Campbell and, Kevin O'Connell, those guys, they're up for their 2 guys are up for coach of the year, right? They're up for coach of the year. But I just love beating Matt LaFleur twice. That leads me to another question, Aaron. It almost feels like there's no respect for Matt LaFleur. No respect. And I got to be quite honest. I don't think he's earned the respect. I don't think he has yet. Yeah, you won games. Sure. You win a lot of games. That's awesome, right? But what's going to happen if Lions fans what's going to happen if you just have continuous, divisional round losses? They're going to get upset. They're going to start losing their minds. Look at the Packers. What did they do with Aaron Rodgers when Matt LaFleur got there? It looked good in the regular season. They got into the playoffs. They made it to the NFC Championship game. Fell apart. Matt LaFleur could not get them over that next hump. He couldn't beat those better coaches, right? Shanahan, McVay, all of them. He cannot beat them. He cannot beat them in the biggest moments. So Ben Johnson's just like, hey, I don't respect this guy. It almost feels like that. Like when you say comments like that, you don't respect this guy. You don't care. Like, yeah, he's a good coach. He's not a great coach. He's not great. He's not over the top. And I think honestly, if you asked a lot of coaches out there, they'd probably say that, Sirianni, to me, I feel like he's kind of in that same boat too sometimes, where it's like, I don't feel like a lot of coaches respect Sirianni. He's got all the outside noise with him. And, other guys out there, Dable. You got Dable out there. But then you look at the respected coaches, right? Ain't nobody saying that about Mike Tomlin. Ain't nobody saying that about John Harbaugh, Jim Harbaugh. Nobody's saying that about Sean Payton. I guarantee it. They're not talking about him. And nobody's going to say that about Pete Carroll, who for some reason is getting signed back with the Raiders there. That one. But nobody's saying those things about those coaches. Nobody said anything about Dan Campbell, right? Or even Kevin O'Connell. But Matt LaFleur. I don't know, Aaron. I want to hear your opinion. I want to hear your opinion on that one. What do you think about that? When you hear that and you hear, I get it's a Bears thing, right? And he wanted to get his fans riled up. But this is an adversary, right? This is an opposing coach, and most of these coaches don't try to pick fights. But this felt like a low blow to me. This felt like one of them low blow shots that you're like, yeah, I like beating you twice a year, buddy. Yeah, you kind of stay down there.
Absolutely. I mean, there's so many different directions I could go with this. Like when I first heard this too, I was perplexed, man. I was like, first of all, the first thing that came to my mind was like, not to, judge a book by its cover and stuff like that, but I'm watching Ben Johnson, walking around this Bears, this building. I guess it's the stadium, right? He's just like in the hallway though. And he just acts like this. He's walking around. He's like Bill Belichick or something. Like I just get this vibe.
Mesmerized. He's mesmerized walking around.
Right.
Like this thing's a dump. This is a toilet seat sitting next to a lake right now, and you're acting like you're mesmerized walking in here.
I almost got the impression like, oh, I'm Ben Johnson. I'm the best thing. I just got this like, yeah. Now I'm rooting against the guy. I don't know. And now I sound like a cheesehead through and through because I'm like anti-Bears as can be, but I'm like look, man, you've never been a head coach in this league. Like I can appreciate what you did, in Detroit there. And you've done good things, but to take a shot at a guy who's, I mean, like, we're not going to say Matt LaFleur is an elite coach, right? But we're going to say, he's won playoff games. I mean, he had him, very competitive against the 49ers, a season ago, who went to the Super Bowl, out of the NFC there. So I just, Ben Johnson, to me, you're stirring the pot already. Like you haven't even like coached, you haven't been a head coach for a game, right? And you're already like, this Matt LaFleur guy, I'm better than him. Like that's what I got the vibe that like I'm better than you. And it's like, hey, buddy, Dan Campbell was the one manning the ship there in Detroit, not you. That's what I would say. Like until I'm not going to say he's going to be a bad coach. He's going to be a good coach. We don't know. But I mean, you talk about like that's almost like a Rex Ryan approach. Like I'm just going to take shots as soon as I can because I'm the man. I'm feeling myself. I just woke up on the right side of the bed. Like that rubs me the wrong way. And we cut up Matt LaFleur, plenty on the show. That's not something we're going to hide. But
yep.
Man, like with all due respect, I would say Ben Johnson. Like if I'm Matt LaFleur, I probably just let it go because you don't want to give them bulletin board material. But I don't almost be thinking if I'm Matt LaFleur, I'm like, who is this guy? Like really, who is this guy? I mean, come on.
I love it for the Packers. I do because of what you just said. Bulletin board material. You take that baby, just like, and they said it perfectly after the Vikings and Lions game. After the game, Dan Campbell, Kevin O'Connell came out. They met each other at the center of the field, and Dan Campbell said, "See you in 2 weeks." That's what he told them. The Rams immediately after that took that picture, slapped it up in the locker room, and said, "This is what was said." And the Rams went out there and they beat the Vikings, and they took care of their business. And that's what I want to see Matt LaFleur do. I want him to take receipts. Dan Campbell went into this last season, and his exact words were, he had games circled on the calendar. And he said, those are the games I can't wait for. And we knew one of them was Green Bay. And we knew there was some other ones on that list. Probably the 49ers, probably some other ones that he felt like they were embarrassed. The Dallas Cowboys with that 2-point conversion. He was going to make sure they annihilated them down there, right?
Yep.
This is what I want out of Matt LaFleur. I want you to find whatever you can to get the boys up. Get them going, right? Take this and say, hey, you guys are my boys, right? This is what he had to say. This is what he had to say. He loves beating us twice a year. Take it to him. Go down to that toilet bowl in Chicago there where nobody wants to play. Go down there and light them up. And that's all you need. Sometimes that's all you need. You just need to jack the boys up. This is it. And I love it. I love it. I want the feuds. I do. Lovie Smith had that. He said his number one goal when he came into the Bears there was to beat Green Bay. So it's just Ben Johnson trying to steal a punchline, I guess, essentially. But there's no love there. There's no love there between Ben Johnson and Matt LaFleur. These two don't know each other. They don't care. Like we saw Eberflus and Matt LaFleur. I believe they were up at a Marquette basketball game, and they were sitting courtside next to each other. Like that was weird, but like you got over it. You understood it, I guess. Now it's like, I don't understand this one. No, we don't like each other. Now we don't like each other. And I can't wait. I can't wait for Packers Bears now because that, if it's not cinema, should be cinema. Matt LaFleur's got to put that baby up on there like bulletin board material and let his team have it. Because if you can't get the boys up after that, I don't know what it is. I don't know what you can do.
I just look at it like I get, if they weren't rivals, I would really, scratch my head on this one.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can point to is like, hey, let's get the Chicago fan base hype. Let's build the hype for the rivalry, like this, that, and the third with that. But I really truly believe like Ben Johnson's in over his head a little bit on this because that team finished fourth in the division this year, albeit with Eberflus, whatever. But we don't know if Ben Johnson can be a head coach. We don't know that. That's the thing. And now you're already like, okay, I have respect for the Vikings coach, right? I have respect for Dan Campbell, right? Like, but Matt LaFleur, the Packers, like I don't care. It's almost like he's chalking it up to like, well, we'll beat him the 2 games we see him next year already. Like they haven't even played a game yet with him as the head coach. Like that's bold, man. And I gotta say, like the way he was just carrying himself there in the Bears, facility, Bears Stadium, whatever it might be there. I don't know, man. Like you're real confident, and you haven't coached one game. Like I get you were a coordinator, you saw Dan Campbell do it. Doesn't I mean look how many guys from the Belichick tree tried to do it, couldn't do it. I just I don't know.
He didn't feel to me. He didn't feel like a coach who just lost in a game and
No.
got kind of lit up. Like he didn't feel like that. He almost looked like he did some smelling salts in the car and then walked in the door like he was at Willy Wonka's chocolate factory and ate the wrong chocolate off the ground, and now he was seeing stuff and floating around. Like that's it was odd. Like it was very he's very energetic. I'll give him that. Like I was watching him on the sideline. I thought he was like more mellowed out kind of person, maybe got a little hostile every once in a while, but more mellowed out. And then watching him in that press conference and watching him talk to everybody, like he gets out there. He gets out there. I mean, I'm not hoping that the guy fails because I hate to say that I hope that guys fail. I really do, but he's a coach of the Bears now, and the Bears, they just suck. They just suck. So welcome to mediocrity, man. Welcome to mediocrity. You should have stayed with the Lions. If you would have stayed with the Lions, you had a fighting shot. Now you're with the Bears. Good luck to you.
Well, and two things to that. He got his payday, right? So this was like, I'm sure he was feeling himself. I mean, he might have bought himself a Mercedes or something, so just something, right? Like the guy was just, the way he was acting was just a little odd to me. But like you said,
Yep.
energetic's a good word, right? To not be negative and taking hits on him. But the only other thing is like Craig Counsell, right? I can kind of different storyline, just different way of going about it, right? But you were a friend, I guess you don't really consider the Lions your friends, right? But you're not like, I can't stand them. Now you go to the arch rival, I can't stand you. Like that's fair to say,
You just went from being likable to hateable within a couple days. Like that's what you did. That's what you did there. So I mean, if it would have went to the Cowboys, I wouldn't have cared. But now we're a Bear fan there. So all right, we'll see what happens. But Ben Johnson and Matt LaFleur, hopefully the feud is on. Hopefully Matt LaFleur does answer. He's like, hey buddy, you got like 3 wins in the last 20 attempts there in Chicago. So like bring it on any day of the week. I got a good record against you. Maybe I don't against the Lions right now, but I got a good record against the Bears. So shut up. All right, just shut up. So we got to get to an ad break. We're going to come back. We got lots to get into. Yeah, we're going to talk a little Badger basketball because they got Nebraska coming to town here on Sunday. So we want to talk about that game. We got more Packer talk to get into later. Make sure you guys are in the comments out there. Make sure you're commenting in. Let us know what you think and everything like that as we go along here. So we'll see you guys on the other side.
This show is brought to you by these fantastic sponsors. Pittsville Farm and Home Center. At the store, they serve you anything from hydraulic hoses to red roses. Stop in to see the awesome crew at Pittsville Farm and Home Center in Pittsville. Next, we have Sport and Spine Clinic of Greenwood. Have you been injured recently, whether it was at work, shoveling snow, or mowing the lawn? Stop in and see Chad at Sport and Spine Clinic in Greenwood. He will get you right, get you back to work, back to shoveling snow, back to mowing the lawn, doing whatever you were doing, feeling better than ever. And then we have Game Day Supply in Onalaska. Do you have a sports club or team? Are you looking for some sweet custom uniforms or apparel? Check out the awesome crew at Game Day Supply in Onalaska to help your team get the sweetest gear.
Sweet gear indeed. I got the t-shirt on tonight right now. I got the t-shirt on over here. You got to check that baby out. They got lots of good stuff down there for all your sporting needs. Check out Game Day Supply. So we got lots to get into. I want to get to the Badgers though, because the Badgers have a big one coming up here against Nebraska. That game's interesting for me. We got a little special guy coming back to Madison there, and that guy is the name of Connor Essegian is on his way back. Connor went through his time in Madison. I liked him. I really did. I thought he had a lot of promise to be a very good shooter for the Badgers. It's just his defense. It never fit the bill. And Greg Gard didn't give him the playing time, didn't feel like he earned the playing time. And I saw it. I did. I loved the scoring. There was times last year where I said to myself, nobody else is playing defense, so why are we penalizing Connor for not playing defense at this point? We need more offense. This system, I feel like he would have fit a little bit better into, but I feel like on the defensive end, he would not have improved the Badgers at all. So I think that was his biggest downfall, and it continues to be his biggest downfall with even Nebraska there. Scoring's never been an issue. So anybody who wants to say that scoring's a problem, scoring has never been an issue for Connor Essegian. It will continuously be defense. That's what you got to say. It'll continuously be defense, and it's not to the point where he was he was almost, I mean, at times, I don't want to say a liability, but a liability on the defensive end. And that's what lost a lot of people, and that's what lost Greg Gard. It wasn't to the fact of he couldn't do it. It was just to the fact of he wasn't efficient on the defensive end at all. And that's what kind of lost a lot of Badger fans and lost Greg Gard's faith in him there. But it's going to be interesting because I don't feel like a lot of Badger fans are lost on him, right? They don't hate him. Right? There's some guys where they leave. Like if AJ Storr came back to Wisconsin playing for Kansas now, he sucks at Kansas, but he came back and played Wisconsin. Like I would give him the business if I was in the crowd. I would give him all the business and then some because he took like millions of dollars to go suck at Kansas when he could have taken less to play at Wisconsin and, fulfill and probably be better set for the NBA. Right now, he's actually, I would say, if you honestly look at his stats from what he did last year to this year, he's hurting himself at Kansas. And it actually sucks because I liked him up until February when I heard that he was basically 1 foot out the door already and the season wasn't even over and the Badgers were still, on a pretty good path to make the NCAA tournament, make a good run in the NCAA tournament, and he was already gone. He was done. He was done with Wisconsin. So that's the crappy part about the NCAA now. That's the crappy part about it all. But Connor Essegian just didn't get the playing time in Madison, so he had 1 foot out the door. He left, went to Nebraska there. He's been getting a lot more time, but the defense is still not there. But not a lot of hate, right? John Blackwell said that's my guy for life. I'm proud of him when he's talking about Connor Essegian. Greg Gard, he was asked about Connor Essegian. He said there's a lot of things he's seen this season on tape that he's seen in the past. Said Essegian has benefited from flanked by guards Bryce Williams and Juwan Gary, both fantastic guards. We're going to talk about them, but that's been a lot. And he also went on to say, talking about what they've been doing with him in Nebraska was a lot of the similar stuff that Greg Gard's been running for him in Madison. So you're starting to see a little translation there. Greg Gard's like, I got you. I see what you're doing. I know what you want to do. I'm going to shut that crap down. We hope that he's right there. We'll see what kind of happens there, but we know Connor's a good shooter, right? I want to get some of the key players in this game for Nebraska. First off, Bryce Williams. That's the guy you got to talk about all the time. The senior guard there, 18.5 points per game, 47% from the field, and he's got about 2.5 assists on the season so far. So he shares the basketball well, and that 37% from downtown, not a bad percentage at all. So, Bryce Williams, he's their leading scorer for a reason. Fantastic guard, senior guard there. A lot of experience in that backcourt for him. Juwan Gary, the 6'6" forward there, plays a little bit of, I'm going to get onto it here, but he plays a little bit of the four, but he also gets into a wing spot too. So he's a very versatile guard, and we're going to talk about that here. But he averages 12.5 points per game there, 4.5 rebounds, 42.7% from the field on the season there for Juwan Gary. So he's been fantastic for him. Connor Essegian, that's where I wanted to get to. 6'4" guard there, 11.5 points per game, 43% from the field, and 41% from downtown. So Connor's been shooting it well on this young season here. And then Riley Worster. Now, you look at the numbers, he's not in the top 4 in points per game. I didn't care about the fourth guy there. Riley Worster, he's like, I'm trying to think, he's like your Max Klesman. And he has the potential to be a game wrecker. So that's why I added him onto my key players in this game for Nebraska. He's a gamer. He gets down and dirty. He gets into the lane. He's going to do the dirty work. He's a guard there, a 6'5" guard, averages about 8 points per game. But he's a guy where you got to keep an eye on him. He shares the basketball. It's 2.5 or 2.8 assists per game. He shares the basketball well. But what I love about him, what I'm going to hate about him, is his ability to get down and play dirty and get to the rack. So that's something the Badgers have to keep an eye on with him and Riley Worster there. As a team, 33% from three, 46% from the field on the season there. They're about 75% from the line. Not great, not terrible. 12.2 turnovers per game, so you know that you can turn them over a little bit. So that's something to keep an eye on there for the Badgers. 2.8 blocks and 8 steals. So the Badgers in this one here, the turnover battle, is going to be a big thing to watch out for there because the Badgers against UCLA, you want to talk about what lost them the game. I know everybody's like, oh, it was the officiating. It was the officiating. And I even yelled about the officiating because it did suck. But turnovers, 13-7. You're not going to win many games when you turn the basketball over 13 times. In a 2-point game or a 1-point game as an end or whatever it was, that's the difference. That is the major difference is 13 turnovers. You cannot get into that there. Looking over at some of the keys to the games. Key to the game for the Badgers here. I'm looking at number one, Aaron. We always talk about it. We say it constantly. Get to the free throw line. Get to the free throw line. When you get to the free throw line, you win it at charity stripe. there ain't many teams that are going to beat you right now. Badgers, one of the best, if not the best, free throw shooting team in the country, and they continue to prove that night in and night out there. Get to the free throw line, force the issue, take it to the rim. Don't settle. I hate it, and I talk about it all the time. I hate when the Badgers get big leads like against Ohio State and USC, but also when they get these big leads against these other teams and they settle for shots. Don't settle for shots. The 3-point, why it's open is because they want you to shoot that shot. It's a low percentage. They don't want you to get it to the rack. Force the issue, get downhill. That's when John Tonje and John Blackwell are at their best, when they're getting to the rim. Even Max Klesman, we talked about his big game there against USC where it's like, oh my gosh, he came back to the season here. He's finally back. Max Klesman was getting downhill and he was getting to the rim there. So that's something that you got to see here against Nebraska. UCLA, they came out once again and they were flat. They came out flat. They were turning the ball over and they didn't play physical. UCLA matched the physicality and they gave him another one, right? Greg Gard spoke on it. He's like, we knew that they were going to come out physical. They play a brand of Big Ten basketball, and we're used to that. Yet you didn't play that physical brand back at them. Nebraska is going to play physical. Can you get physical with them? Can you get physical right back at them? That's what we got to see. It's at your house, right? It's at the Kohl Center. Can you get back after them? So that's something I'm watching for in this one here. It's the physicality of the Badgers there. Win in the paint. Both scoring and rebounding. You got to win the rebounding battle in this one and win it in the paint. That means get it to the big fella. Get it to Crowell, right? When the Badgers have won these games, Crowell's going for 10 plus. That's for sure. When the Badgers lose, Crowell's under 10. You got to get Crowell involved because not only Crowell scoring the basketball, but Crowell's sharing the basketball. Inside out. Work it through the big fella. Let him kick it back out. Find cutters. That's when the Badgers are at their best. So I'm working inside out to find the Badgers in this one. Chase those 3-pointers off the line. Connor Essegian, make him try to beat you off the dribble. You got to stop the penetration, though, because you cannot expect Stephen Crowell, Nolan Winter to step out there. The Badgers do not block shots. They're a terrible team for blocking shots. I don't know why. You got 2 7-footers. You would think you'd have a pretty good shot at blocking some shots. They don't. They suck at blocking shots. They always have. So they have 0 rim protection. You got to slow down the penetration there. So if you are on the ISO, like John Blackwell, you're out there on Bryce Williams, or you got John Tonje out there, you got Max Klesman, you got to win your one-on-ones. You got to be able to control them out there on that perimeter and try to chase them off. Against UCLA, they had trouble getting back to shooters. That was something that we talked about the other day there, was the rotation of the Badgers getting back out to 3-point shooters. I thought they looked lost. At times, they were too much ball watching. They weren't finding their guys. So that's something in this game. You have a lot of good 3-point shooters. A lot of good 3-point shooters for this Nebraska team here. Bryce Williams can knock some down. So can Juwan. Juwan can knock down a few if he gets going there. Worcester doesn't shoot a lot. Actually, I think he's got like 0. He's maybe 0 over the past 5 games that he shot. So he's not a very big 3-point artist there. And then we got Connor Essegian. We know he can light it up from there. So you got to keep an eye on the 3-point shooters for Nebraska there. You know, Greg Gard spoke on that after that game there. He said, let's see here. What do you have to say? UW got too spread out and didn't give enough help and fouled too much. So he's talking about the fouls there against UCLA there. Down the stretch at UCLA, especially against Sebastian Mack, and then the Badgers they weren't aggressive enough at the point of attack. So the bigs weren't aggressive enough there for the Badgers. And I would agree with that. I would agree with that 100%. And that's getting into this one. Like I said, matching the physicality and then some against this team and trying to keep them out. Try to keep them off the dribble, right? Force them out back out on the perimeter there. Force them towards the sideline, whatever you got to do. Sebastian Mack was able to beat John Blackwell off the dribble, and that's where John Blackwell ran into problems because then he was in a vulnerable position, and that's where the fouls are coming from. So it's getting that stopping the penetration is going to be big for the Badgers in this one here. Force the issue, create the turnovers. I talked about it earlier. 12.2 turnovers per game. You got to be able to force turnovers in this one here, and then expect to see a lot of 4-guard looks. That's what I was going to mention there with Juwan Gary earlier on. They're not afraid to switch him down into the 4. So they'll be running a 4-guard look. So with that, I expect a lot of Kamari McGee. I know we've mentioned it a lot. Nolan Winter not getting a lot of playing time, more Stephen Crowell. I expect a rotation of those 2 guys. If Nebraska goes to that 4-guard look, I expect to see a lot more Kamari McGee and a lot less of the 2-big look for Wisconsin, just because you won't be able to match the speed of what Nebraska has out there. So that's something I'm looking at in this one. We did have some quotes. Off of the last press conference the Badgers had there. John Tonje talking about the defensive mistakes. Defense is our first focus for big games. If you can fix some of those mistakes and correct some of those things with effort, the offense will take care of itself. That's 100%. Look at the offense for the Badgers. 80+ points per game. Yeah, it's hard to beat a team that scores 80 plus points per game unless if their defense does not match physicality night in and night out. And that's the problem with the Badgers in these losses. So that's something I'm looking at. Greg Gard said Wisconsin playing faster on offense has already helped the Badgers in recruiting. So he's talking about the recruiting aspect of it there. He said, this is an appealing way to play. It's smart, not wild. You have to bigs that can shoot. Those are larger than average, and we're talking to. It's an appealing way to play. I agree with that 100%. You got to, if you can play fast, if you can play an NBA brand of basketball, you're going to attract a lot of athletes. And I think that was a big problem with a lot of the talent that left in state, like Tyler Harrell back in the day there. Jalen Johnson left the state. I'm trying to think of who is out at Duke right now. Aaron, you're going to have to look this. Who the heck is out at Knuppel. Con Knuppel. That's what his name is there. Out at Duke there. Wisconsin guy. He just didn't fit the fold in Madison there just because they don't run that style. And hopefully this will attract that talent there, like Greg Gard is saying. Greg Gard went on to say the objective is to win games. How do you win games? You have to stay old and mature. We're in a different era where staying old comes from different sources. Maturity wins, experience wins. You have to make sure your freshmen understand that. And I agree with that. 100%. Talking about, let's see here. One last thing. We got to hit an ad break, but one last thing there. They did lose. His name is Haroon Zerno. I don't know how to say that name. I'm glad he's not coming to Wisconsin at the moment because I don't know how to pronounce his name. But he committed to Indiana. Now, I don't know how long that's going to last. He's a very good shooter. If you actually watch some of his highlights, he's a very good shooter from over in Bosnia, sorry, but very good shooter. His finalists were Creighton, Virginia, and Wisconsin. And Indiana, of course, but he chose Indiana. I don't know how long that's going to last though, because Mike Woodson is, basically out the door already because Indiana sucks. So I don't know. I don't know if he's going to stay committed there or what's going to happen on that side of it, but we'll kind of wait and see what happens there. Aaron, is there anything else that you saw real fast here from the Wisconsin-Nebraska game?
Not so much. I think your point on, and you can back me up on this, like getting Crowell and Nolan Winter involved. I think that's like key there. I just feel like getting the big guys involved. And I'm looking at Wisconsin, we've talked about a lot of the Wisconsin games as of late, just not, hanging out at the 3-point line. I want to see him just dominate that paint. You know what I mean? Just take it to him. Like I truly, obviously on paper, Wisconsin's, I would say far better, but really come out and assert yourselves in the paint early and just say try and stop us there. Try and, we're going to force our will in it's almost like the NFL when you script the first 15 plays, right? I want them to script the point of forcing it in the paint. That's what I'm looking for there.
Yeah, no, I agree. 100%. You have to force the issue. You cannot go away from the post. That's the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing I hate when I watch Wisconsin sometimes is they go away from that post area. You cannot go away from the post, especially in a game where you feel like you have that size advantage, and especially in a game when you're at home. Don't lose the paint area. You're not going to win from the 3-point line. Yes, against UCLA, you knock down 15 of them. It makes you feel good, right? You don't lose many games where you knock down 15 threes. But a lot of that's going to come from inside-out work, right? Getting in the corral, letting them kick out to a shooter, finding an open guy in the corner, whatever it is, and knocking out a big shot there. So you got to keep the post involved because otherwise you become one-dimensional. You're so much easier to guard, and that's what takes away from the guard effect there. That's what takes away John Tonje. That's what takes away Blackwell. You're so much more easy. You can be easily defended if Crowell's not a factor. If you don't have a big guy who's a factor, the thing that happens is when Crowell gets going, when they get a size advantage or Crowell gets going, you have a double team that comes. When that double team comes, Crowell is fantastic at passing out of the double team, finding the open shooter, and then they knock down shots. So that's something that the Badgers definitely have to do in this game here. Right now, Badgers favored right now by a large margin. I don't think it should be that large of a margin. I think this is a good team in Nebraska here. So we'll wait and see. It should be a good game there on Sunday. That's going to start at a 12 o'clock start on Big Ten Network. So I can't wait for that one coming up on Sunday there. But Aaron, we got one comment here. Zach, thank you, Zach. Zach TC there. Best podcast in the state. Thank you. Thank you for the kind words there, Zach. We're going to get to an ad break. It's going to be an odd one just because, like I said, we're going to have the radio show, so we're getting used to the ad breaks here. So we're going to have a quick little 10-second little break here. We're going to come back. I want to talk some Packers. We're going to, wrap up the day here. We got about a little bit left here. We're going to wrap up the day, but we'll see you guys on the other side of a little 10-second here. I told you it'd be quick. I told you it'd be quick. I told you we'd be back. That's what I had to tell you there. So we got lots. I want to talk about some Packer stuff today because we didn't get into it much the other day. Kyle was on the other day. We talked about the Bucs. We talked about. We got into just about everything but the Packers, right? So I want to get into the Packers today. So Brian Gutekunst said in his presser, he said the team needs to show more urgency. That was the big thing he said. The team needs to show more urgency. They need to show more urgency. I agree. But I think Brian Gutekunst needs to show me more urgency. And I'll tell you why. Your window's open right now. It's it. Window's open, right? Jordan Love's got a small cap hit right now. I know everybody looks at the contract. They're like, oh my, he's making $55 million a year. He's not, the cap's not at 55 right now. He's not making that, right? He's not actually a huge cap hit quite yet. You just got off of the dead money that was sitting there for Rodgers and Bach. So you're getting some money now. You have some money to spend finally, right? Finally, some money to spend. The window's open now. You don't have time. You don't have, well, next year we can see what happens, right? We talked about that number one wide receiver conversation, right? Do you need one? I don't feel like we have time to sit stagnant. I don't feel like we have time to say, well, we can see if it works next year. And then after that, we can just, see what happens, right? No, we don't have time for that. It's gone, right? You have Jordan Love right now until that contract gets bigger, right? It's going to get bigger eventually. You can't just keep deferring. You're going to keep deferring money, but at some point that money's going to come back and bite you right in the behind, right? It's going to get to you. Jair Alexander's contract's going to come up. You're going to have, these young guys, Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs and Jaden Reed, Dontavian Wicks, the defensive linemen, some of the younger guys, Edgerrin Cooper, some of this, Evan Williams, JD. You're going to, not yet, right? But a few years down the road, you're going to have these guys come up and they're going to say, well, we need our money, right? We need our money. Edgerrin Cooper, I'm a star linebacker like we think he's going to be. I need my money, right? You're going to have to pay him. So the window's open right now. So what are you going to do with that window, right? And that's what I think Brian Gutekunst needs to go into this offseason saying. And I honestly, the draft's in Green Bay, right? And I'm excited. Draft's in Green Bay. It's awesome to see it's in Green Bay. Like, I think it's going to be a cool thing. I don't care if we have a first-round pick. I don't. If the Raiders tell us that, hey, you send us your first-round pick for this year and maybe like a fourth or a third or a fourth or something, and we'll give you Max Crosby. Yep. No doubt. No doubt in my mind. Because this is what I'm going to say. Your window's open right now. Why waste your time? And I'm not going to say it's a waste, right? Because you can go into the draft and you can find an Aaron Donald. You could go in the draft and you could find a Nick Bosa that could develop into being the guy, right? Max Crosby's already the guy. He's already a dog. If you can get a dog and just put him in there and just let him run wild, why wouldn't you do that? Why would we waste we got 6 guys who we're trying to develop already, right? Rashawn Gary ain't developed all the way. We saw it this last year. He's got a lot of work to do. Kenny Clark went away this last year. You got Lucas Van Ness, who, he looks like Tarzan and plays like Jane, as the great Bill Michaels would say. We got enough of Lucas Van Ness. Brenton Cox, he's a work in progress, right? You look across there, TJ Slayton, if you bring him back, work in progress. You have so many guys. Devontae Wyatt, still a work in progress. We have so many guys who are work in progress that we fired the defensive lines coach and we're trying to find a new one at this point because he sucked. So it's like, why not? If the Raiders, I'm making phone calls. I'm calling the Browns and I'm saying, hey, I see you got Myles Garrett. What do you want for him? What do you want for Myles Garrett? What do you want for Max Crosby? Because we know Max wants out. Maybe not anymore. I don't know what he wants. See, the thing with it is like if they get Sam Darnold and they spend all this money, because I know they have a metric boatload. What is, Aaron, if you can find it, the cap space of each team for this next season? I heard somebody talking about it today. And the cap space for each team, some of these teams out there, it's like, holy, I know the Patriots had a boatload, and I know the Raiders had a boatload. But, if I could get Max Crosby for a first-round pick, look at this is what I'm going to tell you, Aaron. Let's look at Gutekunst's first-round picks over the years. And you're going to tell me which one of these guys you're like, yes, sir. First round of the 2018 draft, Jair Alexander. Okay.
If he was healthy, yeah, that's the only.
Healthy? If
Yeah.
he's healthy, solid.
Right.
19, Rashawn Gary. Took him a
Mhm.
while, but he kind of got back into it. And then they had a second one at Darnell Savage, but he's gone, right? 2020, Jordan Love. Yeah,
Yeah.
Jordan Love.
You hope. You hope.
Eric Stokes looked like he could be a hit, and then he got hurt. And then he was just a dud. And we saw it, we've been seeing it. He's just not the same. He was decent, but not the same. Quay Walker. That was your next one. You have Quay Walker and Devontae Wyatt in the 2022 draft. Quay Walker is a work in progress. Devontae Wyatt, when he stays healthy, he's a work in progress right now. But he was good. He was solid. He's good enough. But both them guys, if you could get Max Crosby for the talent that you've been drafting so far, if you could get Max Crosby for that pick, yeah, I don't understand why you wouldn't make that move. That's the move. That's the move you got to make. Because I'm going to ask you a simple question, Aaron. You bring in Max Crosby, right? First round pick, and let's just say a third round pick or whatever. You bring in Max Crosby. And then I know a lot of people aren't about it, right? But okay, let's just hypothetically say, I know some people are looking at like DK Metcalf, and some people are looking at, T. Higgins. We got Devontae Adams out there. Let's just say, to make people happy for 5 seconds, we go and get DK Metcalf, because some people don't want Devontae. They want DK Metcalf. Let's say we go get DK Metcalf for, I don't know if he's actually going to cost a lot, because I don't think the Seahawks want him or need him, just because they have Njigba and they already have Lockett, and I don't think that they want to deal with it. So let's just say you got a future second-round pick maybe, and a third-round pick, or a second and a fourth. You just retooled your offense with 2 proven guys. If they can stay healthy, which we knock on wood, right? You hope so. If they can stay healthy, you just upgraded your wide receiver room, which was a problem, and you needed a number 1 guy. That's a number 1 guy. And then you had a problem in the pass rush. You upgraded that. You can grab corners and safeties and everything galore. How many, honestly, I would love to see the stat. I don't know what the stat is of the cornerbacks and safeties that go in the first round that are hits, because I guarantee you there's not a lot. But if you look at the late round guys, look at Evan Williams. He's a 7th round. I believe he's a 7th round dude, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see here. 2020, he had been 2023. I don't have that list in front of me here. Evan Williams, but he was later rounds. I know he was later rounds. You got Evan Williams up there where he was drafted.
Yeah, 111th. Where was that at? Let's see.
111. That'd be probably like 3. Was that like 3 or 4?
4. I want to say 4. Yeah. Let me see here. I'll get the.
But I look at the amount of guys.
4th round. Yeah.
Fourth round. Look at Evan Williams. He was a star rookie safety for you, and health was a problem, right? He kept getting banged up out there, but look what he was able to do. And he came in the 4th round. So you can find that talent. We haven't found talent. Look at the talent pool that we've been grabbing even in the 2nd round, right? Josh Jackson from Iowa, cornerback there. That was a 2018 draft. They're gone. Actually, Oren Burks, I believe that is the guy who made the hit from the Eagles there. I believe that's him. I believe he was drafted by the Packers there back in 2018. So they had him. They drafted him up in that 3rd round. But outside of that, you look at the rest of these drafts, and you see Elton Jenkins. That was a solid one. I love Elton Jenkins. And then I look down the line, A.J. Dillon. He's probably gone. So, it's whatever at this point. Josh Myers. Some people love him. Some people hate him. He's a good enough center. He's not great. Let's see here. Christian Watson. I love Christian Watson, but health's always been the problem. Where are you losing if you trade away some picks here? Sometimes I wish Goody wouldn't hold on to picks like he's like on a death grip. Sometimes I wish he would just make a move. Trade it away. Get us a bona fide star. Somebody who you just know is going to be that dude. That's what I'm looking for. We talked about an Eagles game, right? I told you straight point up. I said, they got a lot of guys. They don't got a lot of dudes. You need to have a bunch of dudes, right? And they don't have them guys. They don't have those stars, right? And that's the biggest thing. Like, you look at all these teams, right? All these teams. The Bills, the Commanders, the Eagles, the Chiefs right now. Look at all the teams in the championship games coming up this weekend. They got stars on both sides of the ball. They're stars, right? Chris Jones, and they got Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes. You got Josh Allen. You got trying to think of golf.
Von Miller.
Von Miller, right? Von
older,
Miller
but
off
yeah.
the defense there. You have Zach Bond. You have A.J. Brown and Saquon Barkley. You look at Jaden Daniels has become a star. Scary Terry, right? You got Scary Terry out there. Defensive line for the Commanders has been playing well. I'm just going to give it to the defensive line in total because they've been playing well so far. But, I mean, you look at them and guys step up to make those plays. The Packers did not have that guy, right? And that's where I look at the receiver room and I'm like, they need a guy out there who, when you get to crunch time, is going to step up and be the dude. He's going to be the dude. And they did not have that guy. We were hoping guys would take that next step. We never saw it. Never saw him take that next step. So now I look at it and I'm like, I know I was on the fence. I know I was saying, well, we don't really need one. I'm hoping that these guys can take that next step. I'm hoping, right? I'm done with the hoping. You got the money. You got the willpower. You got the picks. Trade them, find somebody, make it work. That's where we're looking here. So we got a little bit more Packer talk to get to on the other side of this break. We got to hit a quick break. We're getting past our quota here, right? We got to hit our quick break. Come back. I want to get to our picks for the weekend. I don't want to miss out on that. We got to get to our picks to the weekend. I got one more question with the Packers. We're going to get to that. We're going to get to our picks, and then we're going to wrap it up for the day. So we'll see you guys on the other side of the ad break.
This show is brought to you by these fantastic sponsors. Marshfield Motor Speedway, located 3 miles outside of Marshfield on County Road H. Tons of family fun for all ages. Great food, great drinks, great racing. I cannot think of a better way to spend a summer day or night than down at the track. Next is Sports Scene in Marshfield, Wisconsin, located at the Marshfield Mall. Get down there and see Al. He has everything you need, from sports cards, memorabilia, jerseys, model stock cars. He's got it all. Sports Scene in Marshfield. And then we have Peggy Sue Bestlick, Century 21. Do you want to find your dream home or maybe looking to sell your current property? Let Peggy Sue Bestlick at Century 21 help you with all of your housing or property needs.
You know what I always say, Aaron? New year, buy, sell, get rid of that clunker. That's what you got to do. Peggy Sue at Century 21. So I got one more Packer question. I wanted to get to it the other day because we had one across the text in line the other day there, and I missed it. We had just wrapped up the show, and this text came across, and I was like, oh, we missed it. We missed it there. So I want to get into tonight. This one came from the 715. Adams coming back home. Is he the number one? So that was our question we talked about before, bringing in that number one, bringing in a wide receiver, right? And I don't know. Adams is old, right? He's getting older. Is he the same guy? No. But when I think of bringing Davante Adams in, I think this wide receiver room needs experience. They need an experienced guy in there to help them out. I think a lot of what the problem was, you look at the drops, right? And you look back to the drops, I think the Packers were third in the league in drops this season. I think they had like 33 drops. The only teams ahead of them were the Jets and the Browns with 40, and the Browns had 48. Holy crap. Browns had 48. But the Packers had 33. You want to talk about what loses football games? Drops. And that comes from focus. That comes from preparation. That comes from getting ready in. And we talked about the other day, right? And this is where Matt LaFleur comes back into play a little bit, right? It doesn't just happen on Sundays. And that's what I think people get lost in. They're like, they suck on Sunday. No. They're not getting prepared on Wednesday through Friday. Wednesday through Friday, they're not getting prepared to come out on Sunday and start fast, to put a good game plan together, to get it off the ground running. I don't believe that Wednesday through that they're at their best. So that's where I come back to this one, and I'm like, Davante Adams comes in. I don't think it's simply for the fact of we need a number one. I still think we do. But I think Davante comes in and he's like, okay, guys, this is what I did to get better. This is what I did. Am I back? Are we
You're
back?
back.
We're
You're
good.
good. You're good. Yep.
I don't know what the heck happened there. I don't know what the heck happened. I was losing to you or you losing me. I don't know what the heck was happening on our end there. But I look at Devontae and I'm like, you bring in a guy like Devontae for experience. That's what I would say. I wouldn't be opposed to it. I wouldn't be opposed to it at all because I feel like they have a lot of guys, like we talked about Jaden Reed. We were waiting for him to take the next step. And a guy like Dontavian Wicks or a guy like Romeo Dobbs taking that next step. I feel like a guy like Devontae Adams being there because, like I mentioned, you had Devontae was in his youth when you had Jordy. When you had Jordy in his youth, you had James Jones, you had Donald Driver. You were building these guys up. You were giving them an experienced room to learn from. I think that's what this Packers young core is missing is that experienced guy to get him over that hump. So I wouldn't be opposed to it. I wouldn't be opposed to it. Does it bring in a bona fide number one? No. Does it bring in a pass catcher in the red zone? Yes. And I think that's what the Packers could use is a pass catcher in the red zone who could get himself open. So I wouldn't be opposed to that there at all. But Aaron, we got just a short little time. We got like a minute 30. So we got to ramble these off fast here. Let's go with the quick picks. We got the quick picks here, Aaron. Give me your AFC champion. Give me the AFC champion right now. We got Bills, Chiefs. That's going to be coming up on 5:30 on January 26th. So that will be on Sunday. That's gonna be the late game.
I gotta go Chiefs. I just think they'll figure it out again. They'll go for the third straight time. As much as it pains me to say, I think the Bills come up short once again. It feels like this could be the Bills' year to get over the hump, but just the Chiefs find a way. We can argue how, but they find a way. So unfortunately, I do think the Chiefs pull that out.
Give me the Bills. Give me the Bills. I think they rattle it off. They find a way. Josh Allen gets over the hump, and he finds a way, and they win this one here. Next up, Eagles, Commanders. NFC on the line.
Yeah, not even saying this because I'm an Eagles fan. I think the Eagles do more. I don't think Washington can stop the run very well at all, and they haven't. So I just think Saquon should have a good day. I think the passing game looks better this week, and I just think the Eagles defense is going to give Jaden Daniels a lot more complications than he had against Detroit, albeit, I know they were all banged up. So give me the Eagles. I think it might be very close, though. It's division rivals and, NFC championship. So everything on the line.
This is what I heard. The Rams couldn't stop the run. They couldn't stop the run. They couldn't stop the run. Guess what? Jalen Hurts has got to throw for more than 128 yards to beat the Commanders. That's all I'm going to tell you right now. And this is what I'm going to tell you right now. If the Commanders come out hot like they did in that game against the Detroit Lions, and if we have a guy in the name of Jalen Hurts come out flat like he has the first two games of this playoffs, it'll be a quick one, and Jaden Daniels will walk away, and we'll be talking about the best rookie season that we have ever seen out of any quarterback ever. This might already be the best rookie season we've already seen out of any quarterback ever. He might top it. He might top it in this game here, because if Jalen Hurts comes out flat and the pass game's non-factor, I don't care about the run game. I don't care. Saquon can only do so much. If you can't throw the ball, they'll load the box. They'll just load the box, and they'll wait for Saquon. At some point, they're going to run into a problem. The Rams ran into a problem. It was called the snow. They weren't prepared for the snow. We saw that. 3 turnovers after the snow started coming down. It was a disaster. Outside of that, they should have won that game. They screwed themselves. And the Packers, we said the same thing about the Packers. The Packers had every opportunity to win that football game against the Eagles. They just shot themselves in the foot. The Commanders, I don't know, man. That's a different ball club. Jaden Daniels is a different breed. I don't care what kind of pressure you bring at that man. He just sees it and just brushes it off and hits his guy. It's uncanny how confident he is in the pocket. I love to see it. It's a talent. As a division in the NFC East, you're excited because you're like, we have good football again. The Commanders are going to be good. They have a boatload of money to spend in the offseason there, so they're going to load up. That team is going to be scary coming up here pretty soon if Jaden Daniels continues on that trajectory. So I got Commanders Bills. The Super Bowl that everybody in the United States of America, outside of Philly fans and Chief fans, want to see is the Bills and the Commanders. And I saw the NFL put out a thing that said that everybody wants the Chiefs to win. Shut up. Nobody wants the Chiefs to win. We're done with the Chiefs there. But Aaron, that's about all we got. That's about all we got for today. It was quick little show here. We're trying to get adjusted, right? We mentioned to you guys, and like I mentioned earlier, Make sure you guys following us across all social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, everywhere, TikTok. You can find us there. You can find the live stream there. But we will be going on the radio here, 92.3 WOSQ. We're going to be jumping on the radio February 12th. That'll be Wednesdays. Every Wednesday, 7 to 8, our show will be on there for the start. And then as we go on, we're going to add more dates. We'll get more stuff added up. It'll be great. So with that, that's about all we got for today. For Aaron and myself, this has been Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. Thank you all for tuning in. We'll catch you guys back here on Sunday. But until then,